Good morning. Good morning, everyone. American Entrepreneur Podcast. My name's Carl Bishop, and I'm excited to share with you guys today. It is the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy Independence Day. Hopefully you're getting a chance to enjoy some time off and relax with family. I'm really excited for you guys today. Those of you that have joined us, thank you so much. We're running a little bit behind schedule, but we got in here and got ready for you. I'm with my incredible friend and colleague, Benjamin Serrtuche. Ben is an incredible guy. I mean, I met him initially when he showed up to one of my career nights about 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And kind of the rest is history. But now today he's a highly successful loan originator with Brentwood Capital Mortgage, an incredible company. And so I'm really excited to have him on today to kind of share about his 5-year journey. So Ben, welcome to the AE podcast.
Take it away.
Take it away. Take it away.
I'm joking. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for calling me. Shout out to Craig Owens not being able to make it, and I'm his backup.
There you go. That's not a bad backup plan.
Nah, it's not at all.
Yeah. Craig's a great guy. We're going to probably have him out on the next, or maybe the one after that. Summertime's always tough to get people organized. Everybody's traveling and have kids and, things going on, family in town. And so we're really happy you can make it, though. You're
Absolutely.
just as good as a Craig Owen, if not better.
Don't hype me up. Don't hype me up.
Watch, he's watching. He's going to text me now.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up, guys.
He's like, who's that kid sitting there?
Who is that kid?
Yeah.
So, speaking of your age, you showed up at a career night, which I think we had posted it online or something. I do these career nights. They're usually, once every month or 2 or 3. But basically we post, on Indeed, we post on Facebook, Instagram, and we try to bring people in to explain about the different positions that we have and more about our company. And so how did you, was it a Facebook ad or how did you find us?
Oh my gosh. I can't remember the website that is basically where I found the posting or listing for the job description.
Yeah.
I was working at the gym at the time.
Yeah,
and
I remember
COVID
that.
had just happened and stuff like that, and so
It's right after COVID, wasn't it?
like smack in the middle of it, because
really?
it was like things were barely opening up again. So the gym was starting to reopen.
Yeah.
They were calling us to like, hey, come back to work, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
I went for like a week. I was like, yeah, I don't want to be back here. Granted, though, before I went back for that week, I was already online searching for like jobs, because like in February of 2020, I went to like Champions, did the classes.
Yeah.
March, I did like the practice tests and all that stuff they send you through, and then COVID happened. So I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm still in college basically, so I should probably just ride this thing out and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so my aunt's a mortgage broker. She's been in the business for a long time.
Right.
She had always kind of been telling me to get into the business. And
was it down in the valley or
down the valley?
Down in the valley,
in Harlingen. And so I remember her telling me like, hey, you really want to get licensed like really quick. And so I was like, well, let me just see if I could find a job first that will like take me. And your posting was junior loan officer, $120K a year.
Yeah.
No license needed just yet, but within 3 to 6 months you need to have your license.
Right.
And me being 21, I'm like, well, $120K a year is the most money I'll probably ever touch.
Yeah.
So I should probably like give it a shot.
Yeah.
Applied, made like this bogus resume on like Word.
Oh god.
It wasn't bogus. It was like
slightly exaggerated. Right?
No, not even that. Like I put it together. Some people get like their resumes professionally done by someone they pay. Not me.
Yeah.
I went on Word and typed in resume, and they gave me a template, and I just filled it out like to the best of my knowledge. And so sent in like the whole thing.
Okay.
And I think a month went by, and I didn't hear from you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Probably doesn't want to deal with me.
Yeah.
Then I'm at the gym. I'm working out. And I just gotten off a shift because I work the morning, and you call me in the middle of the workout.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Yes, is this Ben? I said, yes. "Hey, Carl Bishop, AE Realty, how you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing good," right? And you're like, "Do you have a moment to talk?" And I was like, "Yeah." So the gym gets loud, right? They play
Oh, yeah.
music, people are dropping weights.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think you could have heard that, like, because you're like, "Hey, is now a good time though?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, just give me 1 second."
Yeah.
I walked over to the yoga area because they tell you to be quiet over
Yeah,
there.
of course.
So I'm standing in the
Yeah.
like the little yoga hallway, like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and you're talking to me this and that, and you're like, "Well, we're having a career night. It's this day. Would you like to come?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yes, I'll be there." And I remember that day. I was shaving and I cut myself and like
Yeah.
it was just this, it was a mess. And I show up thinking this is an interview. And I walk in, all these people that like have been in the business either
Yeah.
with Wells Fargo or like just somewhere else, or
Right.
they have some type of experience, and here I am sitting there like, what's a mortgage? Like I honestly didn't even know what a mortgage was.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I remember
Yeah.
we did convo practice one time,
Yeah.
and I had like kind of like brought that up, and you were like, a loan officer who doesn't know what a mortgage is. And I thought, dude, I'm like way over my head
Yeah.
with this. Like, what am I doing? I'm probably wasting my time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I show up, walk in there, all these people older than me. You ask us, why do you want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
I just repeated what my aunt told me to say. And and then you're like, cool, everybody's welcome to start on Monday. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like a,
So you're hired.
yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Went out, bought like some professional clothes, and then that was it. Like I
Well,
started.
that was the rule, though, right?
Yeah,
So
that
you were
was the
you were
rule.
able to start on Monday, but you couldn't have any other jobs.
Yeah.
You had to show up at 8 a.m. every morning, and you had to be in professional dress with a professional mindset. If you could do that, you were hired to start on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you showed up. Hey, you know what's funny is we do give everybody a shot, right? As long as you can abide by those 3 rules. The concept I got was from an incredible book called The Rare Find by George Anders, for those that love to read. In that book, he talks about like the special forces. You know, he talks about, you know, the Navy SEALs. And what they do is, in the Navy SEALs, when they open up their recruitment, they let anybody and everybody get started. Like, whoever wants to be a part of it can come and be a part of it. And so they start off with thousands and thousands of normal, you know, people that get into the program.
Yeah.
But they make it so difficult and so hard that they just stop dropping like flies. You know, like within the first week, they start with 5,000. It's cut in half. It's 2,500. And then after the second, third week, it's, you know, it's another half. It's like a couple hundred now. And so that concept always made sense to me, because in your average typical interview, people always bring their best, like their best self. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're always like, "Oh yeah, everything's great. I'm amazing." And like, so everybody pretty much brings their best in the interview.
catfish.
Right. It's well, it kind of is, right? Because you're thinking, "Oh wow, this person," and then we disc and values assessment everybody. And so yeah, I mean, everybody, different personality, different motivators. It's so challenging. And on the last podcast, we talked to a wonderful guy that's very selective. Manny, he's very selective in the people he coaches. That's never really been my play. I've always been a come one, come all. But let me make it so difficult on you
You weed yourself out.
that you're going to
Yeah.
tap out in the first 1 month, 2 or 3. If you make it past that, there's a chance that you're going to be highly successful.
Yeah.
And you did.
You know,
you
what's
did.
So, you know what's so funny? Circling back to like the disc assessment.
Yeah.
I remember when I was sitting in your office on Days of Allah,
Uh-huh.
and we're going over a disc assessment, and we're going through it, and you go, yeah, you know, this disc assessment kind of seems that like this might not be the industry for you. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, it might not work out, but we'll see where it goes. And I was sitting there like, oh damn, like, I don't have what it takes. Like, you know what I mean? And and so just circling back to that was funny.
Yeah. Because I think you're a high C, correct?
You know, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I couldn't tell
We'll have
you.
to look that up.
What is
Hi, so
remind
the
me-
disc, disc is divided up into 4 categories. It's the driver,
Mm-hmm.
the interactive, the stabilizer, and the cautious. And typically, if I said that to you, it's because you're some variation of cautious and S, which doesn't mean you're a bad fit. It just means it's going to take longer to get started,
Yeah.
or longer to get more success, because, you know, based on what we've seen over the years, disc evaluating thousands and coaching thousands of people, is typically people that have a high C, are very analytical, they're super, mindful, and they typically have high IQ and high intelligence. But it takes them a little longer because they kind of overthink things and they kind of paralysis from analysis. That's my
ego a little bit, No, I'm just no, I probably would agree with you that I'm a high S, high C.
Okay.
Not in the sense of like I'm very analytical.
Yeah.
But I overthink things a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do something if I'm not sure of it, in the sense of like I don't want to look stupid.
Right.
Is this a sure thing? I don't want to look dumb. That's, I think, where it comes from. Because in terms of like the super cautious, over analytical, this and that, like out the window. You know, I try to see things from a perspective of like, I mean, it could have short term gain, but what's the long term benefit? And if you're always pursuing things with short term gain, like you're always going to be starting from scratch at some point in your life.
Right.
And so, and I mean, like through like certain things that like we've gone through together, like with the Jackson Henry and stuff like that, that kind of like edifies the fact that I'm a high S, high C. Like Jackson Henry was, even Larry Palmer was like, I don't know, Carl. And I'm sitting in the back seat like, yeah, Larry, like tell him, 'cause he ain't gonna listen to me. I'm just this 22-year-old guy that,
Yeah. What Ben is talking, so I am the opposite of an SC. So my personality type is DI, so I'm a high risk taker, high driver. I like change, I like variety. I like chaos a little bit. It's weird. But not that I enjoy it as much, but I'm always kind of pushing for change. And so those things have helped, but I also have to realize at times through my journey as an entrepreneur is that I need to be learning based and I need to make certain adjustments over time based on my past, learning experiences. And so, the Jackson Henry, what Ben's referring to is, Ben got a great start with our company, and then we switched gears and shifted to another mortgage partner. And it was a big mistake. As a matter of fact, looking back on that, a big learning opportunity.
This is the first time I've heard him say it was a big mistake. So this is very, what's the word I'm looking for? This is very like
mind-blowing.
No, not mind-blowing. Like satisfying. Very satisfying to hear him say that, because I never thought I'd hear him say it. I always thought he would still be going down with the ship in the sense of, no, it could have worked. We just needed to tweak some things. But to hear you say, big mistake. Like, yes.
Well, here's the thing. and I would say yes, hindsight being 2020. It's easy for me to look back at that and say, you know what, with the circumstances at the time, it made sense, all those things. But if you look back also too, you say, well, Jackson Henry was started by a wonderful guy, an incredible friend of mine.
Absolutely.
But it was started by a guy, a mortgage company was created by a man that had never done a mortgage. And I think that is probably a big indicator of, the learning curve that organization was going to have to go through.
Yeah.
And so it was maybe a little bit of pride and ego looking back that made me believe that, coming into it together, him and I could figure it out quickly. And I think that's a big learning opportunity for our entrepreneurs that are watching today is, as you look back, never look back in regret, but look back in a learning fashion. And that's the thing that I love about Ben, is he's learning based, and we talk about that a lot in our coaching program. Is what's more important than your strengths or weaknesses or motivators or values is, are you learning based? What's a learning based person? A person that's able to, look back and say, I was wrong. I made a mistake. I could have done better there. A learning based person is somebody that could say, you know what? I'm not perfect. I can always improve. I've been there before, but let me go there again because I can experience something new or learn something new. And that's the thing I did notice about you at a young age. You came in, I feel like, with a pretty blank slate, and you were really willing to absorb and learn. But based on your personality, too, when things were changed, and you kind of sought out kind of a little more stability and a little bit, of what made more sense, which works right within your personality. And so That's a great example, but let's go back to like your very first days in the apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
I remember like it was kind of funny. You started with a group of I think 4 or 5 other apprentices, and you got a lot of resistance.
People
you just
way older than me.
people way you were 20 at the time.
21.
21 at the time.
Fixing to be 22.
21 fixing to be 22. In an age or in an industry dominated by older people, usually people in their second or third career sometimes that take on this profession. And so, how did you overcome some of those initial like anxieties and those initial like, challenges that you had being so young, trying to get people to take you serious, trying to like, trying to get into this industry? You were being coached, but how did you persevere through that?
I was honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I could show up and play the part of professionally dressed, stuff like that, because I love that type of stuff. And I'll tell you why I love that type of stuff, because I was in high school when The Wolf of Wall Street came out, and I think every teenage boy that sees The Wolf of Wall Street, you're like, I want to be the next Jordan Belfort, though minus the drugs and the party and all that, because that's not the lifestyle that I live. I had like a short run of partying in high school, but like who doesn't? Right after high school, I was like this, like all the friends you have in high school basically were not my friends anymore. Barely talked to them. Was always home. Super like family oriented. Spent a lot of time with my parents. Went to college, and even at college didn't make many friends. Like stuck to myself because I'm just that kind of awkward. Like I don't get out to the marketing or the networking events because I'm an awkward person. I kind of just stand there with my hands in my pocket, like just. How do I go start a conversation with somebody? It's crazy to think that. And so for some people that might see this, if you see me slide into your DMs, it's just because that's the easiest route for me to go and say, hey, I know some things that can help double your business in the next 6 months. And if you're willing to just take 30 minutes out of your week to meet with me and see if you would be a good fit for me and I'd be a good fit for you, I would love to do that. I've only met with like 5 people that are willing to do it.
Okay.
Right. But that's like the route I take because I'm kind of awkward. I've tried the cold calling agents before. I damn near almost cried.
Did you really?
Yeah. Like I'm like, damn.
Like while on the phone still with them?
No, like as soon as they hang up on me, I'm like, man, what did I do?
As soon as they hung up on you?
Yeah. I remember at the beginning of this year, because now I'm in like a different type of coaching, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of this year, they were like, you got to cold call agents.
Okay.
So of course, I go into the database and I start doing all this research and pulling names and numbers, and I make these calls. Nope. Beep. Other person, I was like, hey, is this so and so? And they're like, yeah. And mind you, I'm trying to keep in mind the script that you taught us. Like, yeah, kind of just like
the forward,
the forward, because like nobody wants to stay on the phone with the lender for that long.
Okay.
Like, but just trying to have that energy that like we brought to the conversations, right?
I like that.
And she's like, the lady was like, yeah, this is her. So I'm talking, and granted, like my script was probably trash because I made it up myself. And like in the middle of it, high energy, this and that, and beep, and I'm like, look in the mirror, because I have a mirror in the office, and I'm like, dude, are you about to cry? You
talk to yourself too in the mirror.
I talk to myself too.
I do that too.
I convo practice like a lot in my head.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. I'm not crazy. It's just I saw a podcast many years ago that was like the best sales professionals talk to themselves and they practice with themselves.
Yeah.
And I forgot who I was watching. It was on the Jeb Blunt podcast, the Sales Gravy.
I love Jeb Blunt.
And one of the guys was saying like he saw his dad every day in the morning for I think 30 or 40 years, tying his tie and practicing his scripts in the meantime in the mirror. And so when I'm on my way to the office, or if I have some downtime and maybe, I'm just thinking about things and stuff like that, I will practice with myself.
Okay.
I think it would help if I practice with somebody so I can apply it, because of course, when you practice with yourself, you give yourself the easiest route of like, I'm going to get everybody's business. I'm going to meet with every agent. I'm going to be the best.
Yes.
Not the case, because when you pick up the phone,
yes,
it's like you said a couple months ago, when you pick up that phone for the first time again, it's going to weigh 1,000 pounds.
It's going to weigh 1,000 pounds. Yeah.
It didn't weigh 1,000 pounds because I knew very well how to call that database and the script so well that I set 2 appointments off the rip.
That's great.
But calling a different type of consumer, in this case realtors, is different because they get pitched all day long.
They do.
Right? So Like,
They do.
I've been told, hey, just get straight to the point with them. They don't want to hear you yap. They don't like, what can you do to help me? If you can't help me, like, next. And so that's like the approach I've taken this year. But to circle back to the initial question, I was honest with myself.
Okay.
Just play the part, dress professional, all the other stuff he says he could show you, so just listen. Now, granted, I think what was my biggest struggle in the beginning was the fear of failure, in the sense of like, well, if he says to do it this way and I do it this way, but I fail, then like that maybe that's going to be an issue, right? So what helped me kind of get over that was like, I think one day you said like, hey, if you just do things this way, whether they hang up on you or not, or you set the appointment, it doesn't matter. As long as you're doing it, you will find success. So that's what I did. I went in there. We were reading How to Win Friends, Influence People.
Yeah.
I read maybe like the first 2 chapters. Everything else after that was like, what's that website? Quick Notes or something like that. Like where you can like just look up the summary.
The Cliff Notes.
Yeah, something like that. And I would go on there and I would just kind of, let my mind do all this elaborate thinking of when it was my turn to talk at the book meeting. I want to give this great description. And it's so funny that comes from just being in college and like knowing how to BS on the fly.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big reader. I've been trying to be better at that. But at the time I would do it and Carl would be like, wow, so insightful. Which granted, I would pair it with real life stuff because like I think experience doesn't come from age and stuff. I think it comes from like just life in general. Like, I've been told many times like you're very mature. And I'm like, well, at some point in my life I had no choice but to be.
I like that.
We won't get more into that.
I like that.
Because my mom's watching. She's going to call me after this.
Okay, good.
But
good.
So I just told myself, just do what Carl's saying.
Yeah.
And then I picked up another book that I actually did read in full, which was again, the Wolf of Wall Street stuff. Yeah. It was it was called The Straight Line Persuasion by Jordan Belfort. And it's basically like how to not control, but how to weave in and out of a conversation where like I'm not controlling the conversation, I'm interrogating them, but it's more, and I'm not talking to them, I'm talking with them. And so when I read that, I kind of started also applying that to the conversations and to the phone calls, utilizing for it and stuff like that. So I was just like, look, if the guy who's running the show says do it this way, then just do it that way. And if you fail, you fail. But he says he's not going to be mad. So that was kind of like a liberating statement that you had made that allowed me to be like, all right, cool. I'm just going to be bold and do it this way then. And I remember one day we were doing convo practice and I was like, I knocked it out the park to the point where you were like, damn, like, dude, good job. After I heard that, I was like, cool, I'm going to do it this way every single time.
I love that.
And I got so good on these phone calls that I would never even meet the people in person.
Yeah.
I would build such rapport that I would take the application over the phone, name, date of birth, social, all that stuff. And they didn't know me from Adam. For all they know, I could have been like a scammer. Yeah. I'm not built for prison, so I'm not scamming people. Like, not built for prison.
You can make it.
Not built for the $10,000 fines that CFPB is going to throw on you and stuff like that. Not built for that. So I would take these applications and then just right away learn whether they're a qualified buyer, or if they need to work on credit, and what we're going to do to help them get there. And that's kind of like,
that's so good.
That's just, I mean, people will say liberating things in your life that will give you the freedom to finally like pursue something greater.
I love what you said. I love everything you said there. And, the biggest takeaway is you applied yourself. I think so many of us get caught up in overthinking things, or you were like, you know what? I'm just going to apply myself. It reminds me of me when I found my first mentor. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to talk like this guy, dress like this guy, walk like, I'm going to tell the same jokes. I mean, I'm just going to do everything the way he does it because he's successful, and I'm just going to model him as best I can.
Who's your first mentor?
It was Zachary Taylor. He was a Remax broker back then. And I was about 26, 27 at the time. And he took me on, and he gave me those same 3 rules. He said, look, I'll give you a shot at my company, but you just so you know, you can't have any other jobs. If I'm going to spend my time coaching you, this is all you do. Rule number 2, you're in this office at 8 a.m., not 8:05, not 8:10, not 8:15, 8 a.m. And I need to see you in a jacket or tie every day. And I'm so grateful to Zach. If he's watching this or catches some of this, I always tell people there would have never been a Carl Bishop without a Zach Taylor, because he's the one that was my initial coach that basically helped me create those initial basic habits.
Yeah.
Habits of focusing on one thing, habits of, getting into the office early, habit of dressing professionally everywhere I went. And those habits changed my life. Within about a year, I became a top producer realtor. And this was during the Great Recession. 2009 was one of the worst years. And I was making six-figure income. And mind you, a couple of years prior, I was a waiter. So it was like, it was a huge bonus for me. But I also did something well, as I applied myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sing your praises a little bit, because you started an apprenticeship for a few months. And what apprenticeship essentially is I give you a job, a job. It's a very low-paying job. It's probably the lowest-paying job out there you could possibly find. But you're going to learn as you get paid minimum wage. And so you worked as an apprentice.
Below minimum wage.
No, minimum wage.
You were right at the...
Right.
Like wherever, Texas Workforce Commission wasn't going to step in, you were right there.
Well, the point is like, you're essentially getting paid to learn, right?
Yeah.
But I still want the accountability of a job, so you can get fired if you don't do what you're told. So it's kind of like, yes, I'm paying you to learn, but it's also a job. So if you don't do certain things, you will get let go of and eliminated from the program. So that's the whole point behind it. It's a little bit of extra layer of accountability by paying somebody a paycheck, even if it's a small one. But you did a few months of apprenticeship, and I remember this because I was so impressed with it. Your second month being like, you passed your tests. Second time? First time?
2 tries.
2 tries. You passed your loan originator's test, and in your second month, you did $2 million in loan volume off of old, dusty, beat up leads from
busted
our dad.
Leads.
Busted leads.
Give me
from
the
our
busted
dad.
leads.
I gave you the most busted ones. And you did $2 million. $2 million in loans by just calling, prospecting, following up, connecting with our agents at the time. And now, granted, it was a different market.
Different market.
But that being said, regardless of how good that market, that's an incredible feat.
I had one lady ask me one time, she said, "Ben, how old are you?" Mm-hmm. I was at the office, like, getting help from Richard and Heidi on the file. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and they heard this because I had her on speaker, and they were looking at me like, "No, don't
tell her.
Yeah,
don't tell her."
And I'm like, I'm 22. And as soon as I said that, they're like, threw their hands up. They're like, "Oh,
we
my
lost
God."
this deal.
Yeah. But it was funny though, because she was like, "You're very well put together for a 22-year-old."
Wow.
And I was like, and I looked back at them and I was like, "Yeah, you see that?" Like, there's also too, like, coming right out of high school, senior year, and then going into like freshman year of college, Conor McGregor popped off and became like this big superstar. So then everybody wanted to be like Conor McGregor, and I did the walk really well.
Yeah.
I was more fit that time, so it looked good. If I do it now, I look like I'm struggling to walk. But I did that in the office because I was like, I'm put together, this and that.
I love that. And, confidence booster, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and so it was definitely a different market, different time. A lot of people could get a house then versus now.
Right. 5 years ago. Of course, it had some different challenges back then. Now, obviously, it's interest rates and stuff, but what you did was incredible, and you had an amazing first year. Now you're in year 5.
I don't think it's rates in today's market. I think it's fear.
Why do you think it's fear?
Well, I mean, you look at what's going on around the world and stuff like that. There's a lot of division and a lot of people feel that there's a lot of uncertainty and yeah. So as much as like we want to say that consumers are driven by just strictly data,
right?
It's how people feel as well. It's how people feel at the end of the day, because if you could do your job well and break down the process and break down how mortgage rates work and what drives mortgage rates and how you can tell them that there is hope for a refi in the future, I'm not going to tell you in the next 6 months to a year though, because that's a disservice to you. But based off trending data, this is where we're at. I think that pushes the consumer more, and it's basically just eliminating fear and using the LACE method: listen, acknowledge, clarify, and educate.
Listen, acknowledge, clarify, and educate. The LACE method. What a great piece of advice for anybody listening. And so yeah, it is fear, right? But I think so many people, whether the market's good, market's too good, now it's too competitive, market's bad, oh, now it's too bad. There's this going. It's always some kind of fear that's holding people back in so many different cases,
Like
right?
when I got into the business, the fear was COVID.
Right.
Like we couldn't get people to come into the office and meet with us because of COVID.
Because of COVID. Yeah.
So then we pivoted to Zoom because we realized that's easier. And there was an incentive to set the appointment. It was $10 an appointment that actually showed up.
Yeah.
So once he was like, you know what, I'll count Zoom as it. I was like, would you like to get on Zoom with us later today at 4:00 and we can break down the process and put a great plan together for you? Oh yes, please send me the link. And I'm like, $10, like an extra $10. This is before I was licensed. So that $10 meant everything to me.
And you did great. You did great. So let's fast forward to today, right? Yeah. Today, and one thing I love about you is the way that you've sought out mentors in your life. You sought out our program, and when you took me on as your mentor and I took you on as my apprentice, basically you modeled that and you really went heavy. Even when we kind of went our separate ways at one point, we still kept in touch. We'd still get lunch every couple of months or so. We'd get together, And so we kept that mentor-mentee relationship even beyond some temporary separation in business. Now we're back in business together, doing some great things together, working on building a team together at this amazing company, Brentwood Capital. And you're being coached by B Coaching, which is a little shout out to B Coaching right now. Dayton Schrader, an incredible friend of mine, we talked about it. We're going to try to get him on the podcast this year. But he and several incredible colleagues of his have put together this amazing coaching company called B Coaching. Kind of a lot of guys from the core originally moved over there. A lot of people started their own type of organizations. You've been coaching with them for about a year now. You started Brentwood Capital Mortgage, which is your own branch, your own endeavor for the most part.
I don't like to say branch. Well, it is a branch because it is a legally licensed, registered DBA of Expedient Mortgage.
Okay.
I don't say branch though because when I did it all by myself.
Okay.
There was no one coming with me to pursue this.
Okay.
Like it was just like I was put into a tough situation. The situation I was put into was it was a decision made in hopes to benefit me without including me in the decision though.
Yeah.
It was more like I keep my phone on me at all times because if I get a phone call, I'm gonna answer it. So I was in the shower and I play music. That way I know if the music cuts off, someone's calling me and I need to check my phone.
Okay.
And I will pick up in the shower, like soap in my hair, and I'm like,
Do you
hello?
really?
Yes, I don't care.
Oh,
I don't care. The only time I won't pick up though is when
That's good to know.
is when I'm in the restroom for other things. I won't pick up.
Okay. Yeah.
But
other things.
but I was in the shower. I always remember this. It was in last October.
Yeah.
Like end of September, October. Just found out I was gonna be a dad.
Yeah.
In September, beginning of September, biggest blessing of my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the shower, get this phone call, and it's from Richard.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, guess what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "I'm starting a mortgage company with so and so." And I was like, "Oh, oh." I was like, "That's great." He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be awesome." And this is not to dog Richard or anything because I respect and love Richard a lot. He's
Incredible
been
guy.
a great mentor to me as well on the mortgage side of things. We were just talking last week because we have the 3 LOs that just joined us, and I was coaching them a little bit.
Right.
And he was like, isn't it crazy to kind of see all that kind of come to fruition and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, really crazy. But so we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. I wasn't going to go to the office that day. I was going to work from home.
Right.
I was like, I got to go to the office to talk to Richard.
Okay.
So I said, well, great. I'll see you at the office. Hang up, get out the shower. And that was the beginning of my growth.
Yeah.
Because when I went to the office and we talked, he was like, hey, so this is what I'm going to do, X, Y, Z. And I'm like, Richard, where does that put me? Because I've done 95% of my business with this team. If not 95, like 98% of my business. You know what? Let's even go 99.5% of my business is with this team.
Wow.
Where does this put me?
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're just going to move your license over to the new company that we're going to start. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I wrestled with it for a little bit. And like, part of me was like, just shut up and make money then.
Yeah.
Because it was a sure thing. And like circling back to the disc stuff.
Yeah.
Knowing like the type of disc analysis that I have, assessment that I have,
cautious,
it was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Just do it. Because if
Yeah.
you're making this much money with them this year, then you'll just make it with them next year.
Right.
Right. Just, I love watching cartoons still. And now that I have a kid, I have a bigger, a bigger reason to keep watching cartoons. And so the other morning while I was feeding my daughter,
Yeah.
I put on the Penguins of Madagascar, the movie.
Okay.
And their slogan is always like, just smile and wave.
Uh-huh.
So at the time I was thinking, just smile and wave, like, just like play the part, like just go in there, make some money. And then maybe in the future, if things aren't panning out the way that they should be, then
Right.
you go do something.
Then you go do something else. Right.
But it was just it was the beginning of the end for me though, because I knew like I don't truly want to do this, because the way that the business structure and the name of the business was going to be set up, it would basically put me on an island by myself, because the name of the lending company is the same name as the real estate team. So when you pursue other agents and other people,
Be like, no.
they're gonna be like, no, you're with my you're
Right.
with my competitor. Like,
Right.
no,
No, thank
because the backside to that could be like, oh, what if we give him clients that don't qualify, and yeah, he nurtures and manages them, but then when they do qualify, he kicks them somewhere else.
Right.
Which I would never do that, because that's horrible. And I'm all about transparency and integrity. That is the one of the biggest things when coming into business was always be transparent and do things with integrity, because it'll take you further than just being the fastest person to pre-approve somebody or having the fastest closing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you can't do things with integrity, then what you do is in vain, basically, the way I
Don't
see
do
it.
it then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm someone that, like, I rather build something that glorifies God and is healthy, and there's no skeletons in the closet, and no one can ever come to me and say, well, you did XYZ. Like, if I can't do a deal because it'll borderline be fraud, I won't do it.
I love it.
If I can't do a deal and I'm not willing, and like, if I can't do a deal,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, why don't you just do it this way?
Walk
I'm
away.
not gonna do it, because
Walk away.
it like is losing my license and my business and livelihood and how I provide for my family worth like $2-3 grand? No, it's not. Like, there'll be other deals. Anyways,
You took a risk then. You took a
I
risk.
did take a risk, but I'll tell you why I took a risk though, because
Okay.
I knew that, well, if I want to start my own branch, I could have started it also under that company, because like Richard owns it, is a co-owner of it, and like Richard will back me, because I feel like I've probably been the most loyal to Richard in the last 5 years. Everyone's always come and gone and tried to get something out of him.
That's the way it is.
And
a
then
lot in
they
that
end up
business.
leaving,
Yep.
right? Things go south or whatever. I've always
Stuck with it.
been like, look, Richard owes me nothing. I feel like also I owe him a lot.
Yeah.
So like, just go and do your job. Like, don't make it that much more than just approving clients and helping people and getting them into a home.
Yeah.
So I could have started the branch under the Entombment and
Yeah.
basically had my cake and eat it too. But I also knew, though, thinking further, that like, no, all I'm doing is just hiding the bigger company name under
Right.
my name. And
Right.
like, I'm not going to be someone that's going to say, oh, I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that. Like,
Right.
because you got to stay within compliance.
Right.
So I knew, like, no, if I do this, it has to be separate completely, because I have to be my own person.
I like that.
Has to be my own thing.
Yeah.
And so when I knew that when I make this decision, it will cut a lifeline off.
Okay.
And a lot of people told me not to do it.
Okay.
My coach told me not to do it.
Yeah?
My mom told me not to do it.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, don't do it in this market. Like, it doesn't make sense. We're already in a hard market. Like, just make some money and then split.
Yeah.
But the way I saw it too, though, was like, I feel like my success is kind of determined by this team.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be in good graces with them at all times of my life
Yeah.
to keep like making money, basically.
Right.
And at that point, that's not being a business owner. That's bondage.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
so you're telling me that I have to be a certain way and do certain things and always keep the peace.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm going to go out and like cause all this drama, because that's far beyond me. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
care about that stuff. But the way I saw it was like, well, I always have to kind of be like engaged and in good graces and becoming something that I know I'm not, because that's where it was leading. I had a lot of anger and strife and frustration and resentment in my life that manifested because there were certain things happening, certain things being said. My mindset took a really hard hit because I was pitted against other people. I sinned in anger. Basically, I said things I shouldn't have. And so that's on me. That's not on them. It's just like, hey, I can control this. And one of the ways to do that is like, dude, you gotta free yourself, bro.
Shift.
Like, you gotta shift. You gotta free yourself. You're gonna make this. If you make this decision, it's gonna cut off your lifeline. It's funny because it did. Then like the night before or like a week before I made the decision, I had the conversation with the other owner. Someone was like, hey, can you send me your link for an application? I have a client. And I was honest with them. I said, look, I'm not gonna be a part of this that much longer. I'm gonna start my own thing. And they're like, oh, you'll get my business no matter what. Never heard from that person ever again.
Darn
not
it.
Not to hate on them, but that was I feel like in a way to show me like, dude, like maybe your success is fake. Because like you didn't get it on your own in a way. Like you just showed up and had a job basically. And answered the phone, but like you didn't go out and build something for yourself. And that was another driving factor of me. I was like, no, I want to build something because now I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to have a child.
That's great.
And so I wanted to make sure that I could have something that I could leave to them.
You know, and I'm so glad you shared that story because it's...
So I took the risk because of coaching, because I knew it was a risk, but I had my stability and reassurance in coaching.
Right.
Because I knew that they had my back and they would tell me how to bounce back from this. And it took about 2 months to bounce back. It really did. I'll be honest with you. I went 2 months, no production almost, because like when I made the shift, well, prior to that, the builders ate up my pipeline.
Sure.
And I mean, you can't do anything about that. It's just part of the game unless you have those relationships, which I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
I have like some soft relationships now that I'm working on.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like a 2 month hit, and then I kind of bounced back, and even my coach was like, I'm proud of you because you kind of just scrapped your business.
You did.
And said, oh, time to restart. He goes, which is dumb. Stupid thing you could do.
Yeah.
He's like, but I'm proud because you're like, dude, you're bouncing back kind of.
That's good.
And I'm like, yeah, I did it because it forced me out of my comfort zone to do other things that would help.
And that's such a great thing because there can be no growth without discomfort. You have to go through it. You have to endure some discomfort. And so that's a wonderful story. And it kind of leads us to our last question as we're starting to run out of time. And man, I've really enjoyed the time with you today, Ben. But, you know, this podcast is about helping entrepreneurs succeed and endure and, you know, be resilient and all these other things. And so, you know, my final question for you is, you know, in those, you know, valleys of, you know, of darkness, or, you know, when you've gone through it and you've felt the walls closing in and gosh, you're just like, is this the wrong decision? Did I mess up? Did I, you know, like, how do you pull through it? Like, how do you stay true to yourself, and how do you endure? How do you bounce back? I know you mentioned coaching, but what kind of really keeps you centered and focused? What's your purpose?
I'm not one to monetize my faith or like try to put it on a pedestal to get people to like me and stuff like that. So when I say this, I say it because it's the honest truth, because there were moments where I was like, God, did I really mess up? Did I make the right decision? So really just my faith in God and just trusting my resources. Like when I look back at how a lot of things played out in the last year and a half to 2 years, like from losing my dad to almost on my way out of the business without acknowledging it, to finding my mentor. I don't name drop either. Yeah. But to finding my mentor and him telling me like, I will help you. I don't want nothing in return. Just pay it forward, though. That's what he did say. He said, in the future, you will have to pay it forward, and that's all I ask you to do. And that is what I'm doing right now. Okay. Like with 3 individuals in my life right now. We're going to start meeting one-on-ones once a week, every week till the end of the year, because I told them I can help double your business. And they believe it. And I believe it because I know the resources that I have to make that happen. And it's not more posting and just bombing people with information and stuff. It's strategically building your business and having a solid foundation. So just having faith in God, trusting my resources that God put in my life, because when I lost my dad, I was on my way out of the business. I was basically broke and I was going deal to deal, hoping for the best. And then my mentor came into my life and took me under his wing, and literally he said, if you do what I tell you to do in 6 months, you will live a different life. And I swear to you, Carl, in 6 months, I was living a different life.
Yeah.
My business was stronger. Like, I had money in the bank. I was being more cautious about spending, and it was great. And that's why I say in 6 months, I can do that, because business is universal. So it applies to everyone, whether you're a barber, whether you're a shop owner. Like, all business people need one thing, and that's clients. That's it. Bottom line. You don't need more. You don't need systems. You don't need all that stuff. Comes later. What you need at first is clients.
Right.
Anyways, so I trusted in that, because like, just my resources, trusting in God, and just doing the basic things that have to be done regardless of how you feel.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, do I like getting rejected every day? No, dude, I hate it. Not because of like a pride of ego thing. It's almost like a self-embarrassment to myself.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, maybe I'm ugly, or like maybe I'm not saying the right things, or like, I don't know, maybe I look like a weirdo, or right?
Oh my gosh.
But you do it every day, because like the 3 people that I'm working with right now, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like, I met one of them basically through just reaching out and saying, I can help you.
Yeah.
And she's been a great advocate of mine, and I've only known her for like 2 months.
Okay.
But like, I pour into everyone that gives me the chance.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, like, my coach wants me to do this, and I don't know if I want to do it though, because I feel like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And she like stopped me right there, and she was like, dude, from the moment I met you, bro, like you have been such a wealth of knowledge, and you've helped me so much.
It's great.
And like, you've like dude, like she told me, she was like, don't dim your light and ruin someone else's blessing, because you are a blessing. And I don't say that to toot my own horn, because when she was telling me, I was like, damn, girl, I'm gonna cry in the club. No, I'm just
I'm gonna cry in the club.
And so that all circles back to like my mission though,
You're in the club.
which is like, dude, I just want to help people. Like,
That's
the way
great.
that I was helped in my lowest moment of life, because like, dude, after I lost my dad, like, I was all over the place.
Oh, I remember.
I took a month off from work. That hurt me a lot.
I remember we met up around that time, and it was rough.
Yeah,
dude.
and I mean, I manage it better now, right?
Yeah.
But it still hurts.
Yeah.
But someone saw me at my lowest and was like, that guy has potential.
Yeah.
And he basically grabbed my arm and lifted me up. I left that first meeting I had with my mentor, where he was like, basically told me I ain't nothing in the nicest way possible, to help me like get out of the delusion of, oh, I'm this successful guy.
Yeah.
Right. Because the easiest way that we can fail in business is I don't like the term, but I don't like this term, and a lot of people use it, but faking it till you make it. Because at some point that will turn into delusion, and delusion will keep you trapped in your current circumstances. Like, I have to consistently tell myself every day, don't live in delusion. You know, your pipeline is not as healthy as you would like it to be. So go out there and keep doing what is building it back up. And so that is like that's almost like my why. That is my why, is to help people, to lift them up, even when other people are like, I'm good. Like, nah. I met with one agent, super cool. And she told me on the meeting, she was like, you know, I'm very new to the business, Ben. Like, I have no business actually. And I was like, that's okay. Like, that's why we're meeting, because I want to help you go get business.
That's good.
And she was like, and she goes, and I really appreciate you reaching out to me, because I was referred to one lender, and we were talking, and they found out that I'm kind of new. So for our scheduled meeting, they canceled last minute and said they had some things come up, and then they never reached back out again.
That's terrible.
And I'm like, well, that's not everybody in the industry, and maybe they really did have something going on that day, and and you could get so busy and wrapped up that you forget to get back to people.
It's true.
But I was like, look, I do this because like I just want to find people and help them the way that I was helped.
That's good.
Like, how do I even put it? Like, dude, the way that they changed my life, the way that even coaching is changing my life, all those guys at B, like, it's nothing short of a miracle and a blessing from God, because when, like, I could tell you back in 2023, if you told me I was going to be in professional coaching, I would tell you, no, because I'm broke and I can't afford to pay for that. Yeah. Someone coached me for free, coached me up to get to that point where now I could go to the next level in coaching. And that's been like the biggest blessing of my life. Next, this semester that's starting next week with B, I have a different coach now. Because my previous coach said, go coach him, because like the dynamic will be good.
Okay.
They called me yesterday and they're like, hey, free upgrade in coaching, and you're going to coach with one of the principals, one of the founders now.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, I was like, damn.
Nice.
I was like, damn, all because my coach put in a good word.
That's
and
great.
that's the type of people, is watching out for each other and making sure that they get the best potential out of you. And that's like my mission is what can I do to help get the best potential out of you without pushing my own agenda.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference is I will help you with like all these people will do these co-branded flyers and this co-branded stuff. And I'm like, it helps the agent kind of, but it also kind of pushes your agenda, which I get it. We're business owners.
Yeah.
But like providing true service to where it's like, hey, look, I'll do this for you. I'll help you. I'll quote unquote coach and mentor you. And I don't want you to pay me. And I don't even want you to commit your business to me. All I'm asking is you just give me a shot at your business.
Okay.
Just give me a shot. Because giving me a shot is not, you have to give me your business to get this out of me, because I'll still help you no matter what.
Right.
And that's just like, that's my approach to everything now. I don't care about co-branded stuff. I even tell some of the agents I work with, please don't tag me in your stuff. Because,
Okay.
you know, sometimes us lenders get petty and we're like, I'm going to go after their business. I don't do that because also I'm like, why am I going to waste my time? And I'm doing it with like the wrong intentions. Like this is not right. So yeah, to circle back, because I know I go out on tangents.
Yeah.
My faith in God.
Yeah.
Trusting in the resources that he placed into my life.
Right.
And sticking to a routine, a basic routine. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It's just getting up early in the morning, winning your morning so you can then win your day, and just doing that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. If I don't win the day, which in these past month, it like my morning routine is a hit or miss sometimes because of my daughter.
Yeah.
And she'll wake us up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you're like super tired.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this not to, I'm letting you guys know this so you know that I'm also not perfect. And like I have to also still remind myself to stay disciplined. So trust in God, trust in the resources that he put in your life, and being disciplined and consistent in your routine.
I love it. That really great answer. Great tangent too that you went on there, but because it's just there's a lot of wisdom for such a young man, you know, at 26 years old.
26. I'll be 27 next month.
27 next month. All right. So for a 27-year-old young man, there's a lot of wisdom there. I like how you said faith. I mean, that's probably the biggest takeaway. If you could even title this podcast, you could title it Faith. You know, because that's what it's most required. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance in what we do not see. That's Hebrews 11:1, straight from the Apostle Paul. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance in what we do not see. God, I don't see it. I'm beat up here. I'm suffering. I'm struggling. But I know it's going to happen. I know you're going to provide a way. And what happened? God brings people. He brings opportunities. He brings, you know, all these things in your path because he wants us to succeed.
He's faithful and just.
He's faithful and just.
You just have to trust him.
And you know what's amazing is too, as you went through that whole story, I mean, a lot of those decisions that you made kind of led us back to working together. And so I'm really excited about the next season that we're going into now and the people that you're coaching in our organization. And so really, really grateful, really appreciative of the time today, Ben. Thank you guys for watching and tuning in to the American Entrepreneur Podcast. First Friday of every month, we're going to have an entrepreneur, local and even some from outside of the city. Some national people have reached out and said that they want to be on the podcast. Some top producers from other parts, California, Florida.
Spurs Jesus.
we had Cordero on already. He and he's kind of our standing influencer. And matter of fact, if you ever want an autograph or a picture with Spurs Jesus, come to our office and you'll get one for free. And you'll get to hang with him for a little bit. He's an incredible guy. We're doing a lot of charity stuff this year. So thanks again, everybody, for showing up today and listening to us again. This has been Serrtuche with Brentwood Capital Mortgage. Anything you need mortgage related, this is your guy. You'll find his information in our details here. We'll see you next time. Bye.